Hi everyone, my name's Emily and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about my experience on Erasmus. It's something I've talked a little bit about before, but I've never really gone into detail about my experience. And the reason I actually filmed this video was it was part of my university experience story, which I will be linking in the description and probably somewhere around here. I really wanted to share the story of my university experience, and my story about my Erasmus is a really important part of that, but it made the university video way too long, and to be fair, I think it deserves a video in itself. So today I'm going to be explaining to you how I spent my third year of university, which was living abroad in France and Italy, working and basically having a great time. This video focuses more on the kind of educational side of that, but if you would like to hear a bit more about the social side or whatever else, let me know in the comments. And I will also link in the description a video I made a while ago with some more practical tips if you're planning your Erasmus or year abroad or study abroad. So I think that's enough information for now, and I will leave you to past Emily, who's going to do the rest of the video. At my university, we actually had a 4-year course, and the reason for that was because in our third year we would all go abroad to the country of the language that we were studying and either study there or do an internship there, or you could also teach English. I decided that I would really like to actually just go and do an internship and just have a year away from studying because I just didn't like studying. So I thought for my third year I would take a break from that and go and do some internships and work. I organised to spend the first half in Paris practicing my French, and I organised an internship with a corporate media relations company. And then I would spend the second half of the year abroad in Italy. I finished my second year exams and I had something like 8 days before I had to pack my life into bags and move it to Paris to start my internship. Once again, I think I underestimated that was going to be quite a big change. But I went for it. I was feeling really optimistic about this year. My parents helped me to move out because it was such a short turnaround time and I was honestly feeling a little nervous. I started my internship. I think I also overestimated my French levels because when you're like thrown into the country to speak the language, you realise how much of the everyday vocabulary and phrases you don't actually cover in your French lessons. Like, I felt like I was more able to debate like the pros and cons of nuclear power than I was to like ask somebody to borrow a stapler. I was supposed to spend 6 months in this internship, but what I realised very quickly was that I didn't love the whole vibe of the office. I really felt like I just ended up getting bullied by one of my superiors, and that's a whole story in itself. But what I will say is that was a defining moment too, because it really reached a point where I was physically sick with anxiety of going to that workplace. And I had a decision to make. Was I going to put up with this and stick it out for another 3.5 months or whatever it was at that point? Or was I going to take a risk by quitting my internship and trying to find something else? And I spoke to my uni. They had like a support network there for people who were on their year abroad. I called them a few times and in the end they said, okay, it sounds like you're not in a good position. Like, bureaucratically you can quit this internship at this point. It's not going to affect like the funding that I had to help me to do this year abroad, and yeah, you can go and find another internship. So that's exactly what I did, and I'm so glad I took the risk because the second half of my time in Paris was so much more fun. I was working in a startup office. I just felt so much more valued. It was a very small team. I caught on to what I was supposed to be doing in the job very quickly, and I didn't feel like this tiny cog in this huge machine where I didn't really understand how everything worked, which was how I felt in the corporate office. I could see the effects of my work on what we were building there in the startup, and I know that my efforts were appreciated because I actually ended up being offered a very good full-time position there as one of the few kind of higher-ups that they were employing full-time at the company. But as much as I loved working there at the time and I made some great friends there, I was still supposed to be spending the next half of the year in Italy, and I was still supposed to be finishing my degree. So in the end, I just felt like I wanted to be doing something more than just this degree I was doing, but I was so optimistic for my time in Italy, and I was starting to get a clearer vision of what I wanted to be doing with my life, and it wasn't the job they were offering me in that startup. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd accepted that job, but for sure my life would look a lot different to how it does now. Well, maybe not so different, I don't know. But I decided to leave the startup office as I was supposed to go and do the second half of my year abroad in Italy. It was quite late on when I really organised what I was going to do in Italy. I knew I wanted to do some kind of internship, but I had no clue where in Italy I was going to be going until about 2 months before I left, when I saw that one of my friends had been having a really great time in her placement in Italy and had made a good group of friends and things. So I just said to her, hey, listen, do you think that the place you're working at will be looking for someone to replace you when you leave? And she said, yeah, they probably will. Why don't you apply? And I did, and I got offered the job. So I went to Padova in Italy, which is a little city close to Venice, to work as an English assistant in a private university there. As I said, by this point I had a clearer idea of what I wanted to be doing. From my blogging experience and then my short time in that media relations office and my various internships I'd done in the UK, and then working in the startup office and getting to work on their social media and things there, I knew that I wanted to move somewhere in the direction of like marketing, digital marketing. So for me, this English assistant position was kind of off track from where I wanted to be going, but I thought, you know what, it's a lot more difficult to get internships in Italy, so let me just have fun with this one. I know my friend had a good time in this city, so let's just go and see what we can make of it. So my contract for this internship was something like 25 hours a week, which is really not much. And to be honest, once I was there, there weren't many weeks where I was even working that much. But it was just this beautiful little city in the north of Italy, which I'd never been to or even heard of really until I got there. And immediately I had a network because my friend had been there before me and introduced me to all of her friends. And I just felt, I felt at home there. Of course, like it was still a bit of a struggle at the beginning. Like when I arrived to Paris, that was a real, like trying to set up the bank account and do all the bureaucratic things in a different language. It was stressful. But in Italy, I guess I gained a bit of confidence. I felt much less confident with the language, but straight away I had to find a place to live, so I was using the language every day. And you know what? I picked up Italian so quickly, and very quickly it overtook my French, despite the fact, I don't think I mentioned this, but French I had studied from when I was about 11, and Italian I had just picked up fresh from scratch at university. But really being immersed in Italian culture, unlike Paris, where you get a lot of people who speak English and will hear your foreign accent and just respond to you in English, here I didn't really have the option to speak English that much. So I think that really helped me to enjoy it because I saw it as a challenge and I was learning. I made some great friends. Some of my personal circumstances changed. I got out of a relationship that I'd been in for a very long time. And I just felt free, and this part of university was the best by far. I just was really enjoying life. And when I was in Italy, it gave me some time to think, and I just really started to realise that I didn't want to chase money. I didn't want a corporate job, I'd worked that out. I wanted a lifestyle where I could really appreciate the smaller details in life. Italy was so much more slow-paced compared to Paris, and I loved it, and I loved appreciating the food and the nature around me, and I thought, like, this is the type of lifestyle I want. And after working in the startup office, I started to think, I didn't know yet whether I wanted to just work in an environment where it was more like a boutique agency or a startup, or I think I started to plant the seed of the fact that I wanted to work for myself and I wanted to freelance. I think it was just at this point I knew I wanted to freelance. Oh, I forgot to say I also got to travel a lot during that year. I got to travel around Italy a bit, and I discovered a love for travel, which I didn't know I had before. So the third year of university was by far the one that I enjoyed the most. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Remember, if you want to hear the whole story about my university experience, it will be linked somewhere around here and also in the description down below. Or if I haven't put the university video up live yet, I promise I will link it as soon as it is next week or the week after. And if you want to hear more about my Erasmus experience, then let me know in the comments. I've got lots of other videos all about travel, so if that interests you, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in my next video.